Every 10 meters you descend, the pressure on you increases by 1 atmosphere. At the bottom of the Mariana Trench, that is about 1,000 atmospheres. 15,700 pounds pressing on every square inch of you. Nearly 8 tons. On an area the size of a postage stamp. A steel sphere fails at that depth in about 1 millisecond. That is faster than a nerve signal reaches your brain. Nobody who has died down there has known it was happening. This video goes down in 5 stops. Each one is worse than the last, and worse in a way you will not see coming, because the thing that makes the deep ocean frightening keeps changing as you descend. The last stop is the one that should actually bother you. Not because of what lives there, because of what was already there when we arrived. Sunlight effectively runs out around 1,000 meters. Above that is the twilight zone. Enough light to see by, not enough to live on. In 2017, 2 researchers at the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute, Severine Martini and Stephen Haddock, did something nobody had done before. They counted 17 years of remotely operated vehicle footage, more than 350,000 individual animals, from the surface down to 3,900 meters, each one classified for whether it could produce its own light. 76% could. 3/4 of the animals in the water column are not lit by anything. They are the light source, which brings us to this. Macropinna microstoma. The barrel eye. It was described in 1939, but every specimen that had ever been hauled to the surface arrived destroyed. The pressure change ruined it, so for 65 years, nobody knew what it actually looked like. In 2004, a vehicle filmed a living one. And it turned out, the entire top of its head is a transparent, fluid-filled dome. Those 2 green spheres people mistake for eyes are lenses, and they are pointed straight up, looking out through its own skull. Here is the part that matters. At this depth, light is not illumination. It is deception. Lures that imitate prey. Counter-illumination that erases your silhouette against the surface. False eye spots. Almost nothing down here glows to be seen. It glows to mislead. Below 1,000 meters there is no sunlight at all. Not dim. None. Ever. Food only falls. There is no production down here. Everything that lives at this depth is eating something that died above it, or eating something that ate something that died above it. Every calorie has to sink. Scarcity that total does not produce monsters. It produces compromises. In some deep-sea anglerfish, not all of them, about 23 species out of 160, the male never grows up. He is a fraction of her size. He finds a female in total darkness, bites into her, and then he fuses. Their skin tissues merge. Their circulatory systems join. His eyes degenerate. His fins go. His internal organs dissolve away, until the only thing left of him is testes, permanently plumbed into her bloodstream. Some females carry several, and in 2020, researchers found the price of that. To keep a fused male from being rejected the way your body would reject a transplant, these anglerfish had to dismantle their own adaptive immune system. They gave up antibody generation. They gave up normal T-cell and B-cell development, the defense system that every other vertebrate on this planet relies on to not die of infection. They traded it away so that two animals could become one. That is what the deep ocean does. It does not make things bigger or scarier. It makes them pay. We are now at the depth where the Titanic sits. Everything past this point has killed people who went to look at it. The Titanic wreck lies about 3,800 meters down. It has been visited by submersibles for 40 years. On the 18th of June, 2023, a submersible called Titan lost contact with its support ship less than 2 hours into a descent to it. Days later, a debris field was found on the seabed, a few hundred meters from the Titanic's bow. The US Navy had already detected an acoustic signature consistent with an implosion at roughly the moment communications stopped. All 5 people aboard died instantly. The word instantly is doing real work there. At that pressure, hull failure propagates faster than the human nervous system can register anything at all. Now hold that against this. A Cuvier's beaked whale has been recorded at 2,992 meters. Separately, one was tracked on a single dive lasting 3 hours and 42 minutes. 222 minutes on one breath. The longest dive ever documented for any mammal. 2 different records, 2 different animals, but the same conclusion. The depth range that destroyed an engineered carbon fiber pressure vessel is somewhere a mammal goes to find lunch. Engineering is not the same thing as adaptation. We build things that resist the ocean. Everything that actually lives down there gave up something to belong to it. Below 6,000 meters, you are in the Hadal zone, the trenches, named after Hades. On the 15th of August, 2022, a team led by Alan Jameson filmed a juvenile snailfish at 8,336 meters in the Itsu Ogasawara Trench off Japan. It beat the previous record, 8,178 meters, set in the Mariana Trench. It is the deepest fish ever recorded. It is also, almost certainly, close to the deepest fish that can ever exist. Here is why. Pressure deforms proteins. To survive it, deep-sea fish load their tissues with a compound called TMAO, which stabilizes protein structure. And the deeper the fish lives, the more of it they carry. But stabilization has a ceiling. Push TMAO high enough, and proteins become so stable they stop being able to move. And a protein that cannot change shape cannot do anything. It cannot contract a muscle. It cannot catalyze a reaction. In 2014, Paul Yancey and colleagues measured TMAO in Hadal snailfish and extrapolated the curve. It runs out at about 8,200 meters, so the ocean has a floor for vertebrate life, and it is not the seafloor. The Mariana Trench is nearly 11,000 meters deep, which means there are more than 2,000 meters of ocean below the deepest possible fish. Not unexplored. Uninhabitable. The only places on this planet with water, with food, with animals living in them, and no fish at all, not because nothing has evolved to go there yet, because chemistry says no. So we went into the part of the ocean where fish cannot follow. And we found something down there. Challenger Deep. 10,935 meters, give or take 6, measured by crude submersible in June 2020. Something does live down there. Hirondelia gigas, an amphipod, a few centimeters long, and it does something genuinely remarkable. It produces gluconic acid, which strips aluminium out of the trench sediment, and in alkaline seawater that aluminium converts into a hydroxide gel that coats its body, a shield that stops its own shell from dissolving. It manufactures armor out of dissolved rock. It is the single most impressive piece of engineering on this list, and it belongs to something the size of your thumbnail. And then there is what we found in it. In 2017, Alan Jameson and colleagues tested amphipods pulled from the Mariana and Kermadec trenches, both from below 10,000 meters, for persistent organic pollutants, PCBs, industrial chemicals, banned for decades. The concentrations were, in the paper's own words, considerably higher than levels documented in nearby regions of heavy industrialization, in the deepest, most remote habitat on Earth. And in 2018, researchers went through the deep-sea debris database, 30 years, 5,010 recorded dives, and found the deepest single piece of human garbage on record, a plastic bag, 10,898 meters down. Here is the thing I want to leave you with. Nothing in this video is monstrous. Every single thing we met is a consequence of 3 facts that never change down there. The pressure is crushing. There is no light. And food only ever falls from above. The transparent skull is a solution to darkness. The fused male is a solution to never finding a mate twice. The aluminium shell is a solution to your own body dissolving. The immune system the anglerfish gave up was not a sacrifice. It was a bill. None of it is horror. All of it is arithmetic. And then you get to the bottom. 11 kilometers down. A place fewer people have visited than have walked on the moon. A place where the chemistry of life itself gives out 2,000 meters short of the floor. And the most surprising thing down there is not an animal. It is a plastic bag. One more thing. In 1997, hydrophones picked up a sound in the South Pacific loud enough to register on sensors 5,000 kilometers apart. You have probably heard that nobody knows what it was. That is not true. We do know. And the real answer is stranger than the story people tell about it. That is the next one. Crush, depth. Everything down here is under pressure.